Hey there fellow sleep seekers, my name is Adriana reporting for the Sleep Sherpa, and today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the Blanquil Weighted Blanket. Weighted blankets are known for their ability to reduce anxiety and ease restlessness. Now, this is my second time reviewing a weighted blanket, and I'd have to say that while for some people that claim is very true, it's not the case for everyone. And I remember when I first started researching this, I found that while there have been some studies on the effectiveness of weighted blankets, there was no large clinical study that definitively said yes, weighted blankets, do so and so. So keep that in mind. If you are someone that thinks you are claustrophobic, if if a warm hug maybe is not your idea of comfort, I don't know if this is for you. I find weighted blankets are great to kind of encompass yourself in something. Is it comforting for some people? Definitely. I found it to be incredibly comforting. The first weighted blanket I ever received, it was just bare. There was no cover on the outside. It didn't look flattering. It didn't look wonderful. It did its job wonderfully, but when I look at this, I feel wow, it's really nice looking. It's appealing. I want to lay down with this. It always helps to have something that looks wonderful like this does. So A+ on aesthetics. But it's possible that the cover also affects the effectiveness of the weighted blanket itself. So I'm definitely interested in weighted blankets. I think their potential is awesome. I would love to see more clinical studies done on a mass scale, regarding whether or not it can really help people. And I think they're pretty interesting, whether this is a novelty for you or whether you're legitimately looking for something that will help just calm you. I think it's something that is worth paying attention to, and I think it's something that's worth trying. Now, as I was going over reviews to see what people have to say about Blanquil, I found that a lot of people were surprised about the fact that this blanket is heavy. I think it's worth maybe even featuring some of the things people have said, because I find it so bizarre. Yes, it's heavy. That's kind of the point. In terms of what a blanket like this could do for you, for your anxiety, for your insomnia, or whatever it may be, there's definitely potential. And it's definitely been documented, you know, that's why these things exist. That's why other people create more blankets, weighted blankets, because they see there's a demand. They see that people are curious and that, you know, they're willing to try something different. And I mean, the reviews say it all. For some people, it's really effective. For others, maybe it's not their cup of tea. But I do think you also kind of have to have an open mind. And I think you also need to think about how you approach it. So when it comes to weighted blankets, it's recommended that you pick a weight that is approximately 10% of your body weight. Anything over that may be overwhelming. So to someone, they may think, oh, well, 20 pounds in comparison to what I weigh maybe is not that much. But whether or not it's appropriate, I don't know unless you do the calculation yourself. So keep that in mind, and keep that in mind when you're reading these reviews, because you have to take note that there's always going to be some people that just don't get it, that won't make the effort, and that are willing to look at something and just kind of throw it to the side. With weighted blankets, you actually have to be willing to just give it a try. Like when I first slept with the weighted blanket, I thought, yeah, this is kind of weird, you know, but after a few nights, I saw that I was really able to fall asleep faster. And I thought that was astounding, and I was really impressed with that. So with Blanquil's weighted blanket, you have the actual weighted blanket inside and this cover. So the cover you can take off. They've kindly included it for you for those cold fall and winter days. And when it's no longer cold, you just take it off and you use it as it is. I'm sure you can throw something on top of it to prevent it from getting like dirty. But I really like their approach. It's nice to see that it's presented in this like wonderful way. You know, like this is like a nice velvet material, and I like it. I think it makes it easier to look at this and say, I definitely want to use this, as opposed to, I don't know what I think about this. I think this is just more easy to approach. Let's just put it that way. And now it's time to try the blanket. Now I weigh about 126 pounds and 10% of my weight is 12.6 pounds. This is a 20-pound blanket. Is it too much for me? Probably. But being that I'm open-minded, I'm going to keep that in mind, and I won't let that affect my entire perception of this product. So let's try to keep an open mind, and let's give it a shot. You could work out with this thing. No. I hate when you can see the tag, because it belongs on the bottom. It belongs where you can't see it. Okay. Let's do this one more time. Hiya!
Two hours later.
Wow. Yeah, okay, this thing can put you in a trance. Jesus. Jesus Louises. Okay, guys, I just have to say, I give it an A+. Wow. It's wonderful. Absolutely. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. So there's a few things to note when it comes to weighted blankets. If you find that when you cover yourself, it's too much, or it just feels like you're suffocating, you can actually just put the weight on the lower part of your body. Like, I think that's the one thing that we forget, is like we think that to have a blanket, it needs to be like this, but it doesn't. For some people, it's not the effective thing. For some, it's just enough to have it on like the lower half, or like under your chest, like right here, you know, so you have to kind of like customize your experience if you feel like one way is not working for you. The next thing is I keep Next thing is I keep reading these comments that honestly make me both want to roll my eyes and crack up. And I don't even know what, but some people have been writing that this blanket is not effective for like watching TV because it starts like the weight starts to fall down like on the side of the blanket, on the side of the couch, sorry. And all I could think is like, well, duh, like it's a weighted blanket. The weight is gonna go, it's gonna fall, like gravity dictates that, right? So I was thinking, okay, let's do the thing where this must make me look so lazy, but it's like the weight of the blanket makes it so hard to move. So what I wanted to do was to just do something like this so that I think I can show those people just an alternative to being able to use this while being on a couch. So I would say, as opposed to, obviously, as opposed to it being like this, like it's gonna fall, the weight, like it's a weight, okay? It's a weight, like that's the way it goes. As opposed to having it like this, I would just say have it like behind you. I think you're gonna just have to get creative because I mean, come on, like it's it's a weighted blanket. I don't know if people read these reviews and realize how silly they sound sometimes. I understand it's a frustration, but there has to be some way around it. You know, and maybe that's the benefit of us being a particular size, being like a throw blanket size. You know, there are some people that were writing that it's not convenient how it's like only one size. It's not convenient how there is no like queen size or king size. And on one hand, I understand that completely. Now, I remember reading one review where the person was talking about how the size of the blanket is not convenient for him. And he was saying how like it's not enough for two people, you know, it's not enough to cover a whole bed. I typically have the same kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I tend to be just as particular when it comes to looking for blankets. I want it to fit the whole bed. But I also realize when it comes to something like this, you know, you have to think of it from the manufacturing standpoint as well as the marketing standpoint. And I think from a marketing standpoint, you know, this isn't sold as an item like meant for couples. It's sold as an item meant for people that have problems like with anxiety. And that being the case, like you have to keep in mind like two people in one bed don't necessarily both have anxiety. You know, so imagine having a blanket that's like huge, takes up the whole bed. Like what if that other person either doesn't like weighted blankets, doesn't feel the need for it? You're then stuck having to kind of like fold the blanket in half just on yourself. So in that sense, it's not really effective. Aside from that, from a marketing standpoint, you'd have to consider that it would be a really expensive thing to create. And this already is expensive. You know, one example for you is that Blanquil does not cover the cost of returns, which is why I think if you're really into weighted blankets, like I don't think you have to worry about the purchase because it's probably unlikely you'll return it if you're really into the idea, if you're willing to try it out, or if you're willing to, you know, not mind giving it to a friend or a family member or selling it locally. But as far as creating this, it would be just really expensive to create like queen size blankets, king size blankets, you know, so I understand why they've kept it the size that they have. It may not make sense to all of us, but when you think about it from those different perspectives, like there's a reason, you know, there's a reason for that. Now, the one thing we haven't done yet is actually looked at the blanket with the cover off. So let's take a look at that. Aha. is so interesting. They've got duvet loops. That's perfect. That's great. Love it. It's really nice. Overall, I have to say I'm really impressed with this weighted blanket from Blanquil. I like that they offer a lot of different color options. I feel like some companies don't do that, which just kind of makes it feel dull. I feel like color makes things fun as much as I love black and gray. Aside from that, I do feel like this blanket is totally effective. Like the moment I laid down, like my words were literally like I felt like I could go into a trance. I just felt so calm and relaxed. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this video to be insightful. If you'd like to learn more, there will be a written review linked down below. And I'll see you guys next time for more blanket reviews this time. Bye.